Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Tracy Rosen, and as a member of the Winston Preparatory School Board of Trustees and as a Winston, Connecticut alumni parent, I am honored to be celebrating with you tonight. Tonight we celebrate meeting the challenge and what we've learned from COVID-19. As you all know well, every day on every one of our campuses, Winston Prep teachers and the Winston Innovation Lab promote the importance of the qualities of a sustainable and independent learner. These skills support our students' ability to successfully navigate whatever life throws at them, both big or small. It could be something like a tough math problem, or a really difficult day, or even something like a global pandemic. Well, our community meets the challenge with resilience, problem solving, and self-reflection. While this year may have been one of our biggest challenges yet, it was also one of our greatest successes. We accomplished things such as getting online learning up and running for over 500 students in just 3 days. We discovered new and innovative ways to educate online. We opened our 6 campuses for in-person learning in September of 2020. We even opened a new campus in Marin County, California during the pandemic. And we launched our Winston Online Remote Learning Program. We are really proud of these successes. Well, while I wish we were all together physically at Cipriani's, drinking those fabulous Bellinis, I welcome you to this exciting virtual event as we celebrate the resilience of the entire Winston Prep community. This event itself is a testament to the ingenuity, the creativity, and the community collaboration that happens each and every day here at Winston. This event was filmed across 6 campuses with close to 100 students, teachers, faculty, and parents. And it was produced by our production partner, Emerge Studios, from up in Canada. We had to rely on Zoom, smartphones, and remote interview setups to bring this event to life. We even worked with students to have them film content at each of the campuses. Before we begin, I'd like to take a short moment to recognize and thank our corporate sponsors. Our platinum sponsor is the ADP Foundation. Our gold sponsors, Sandpebble and Sargenti Architects. Our silver sponsors, Peterson LLP and Rhino Healthcare Solutions Incorporated. And our bronze sponsors, Amonte Vino, Cushman & Wakefield, the NVLD Project, and Ronsko Incorporated. Thank you all for your generous support of tonight's event and for your support of Winston Preparatory School's mission. Now, let's kick things off with Scott Bazilko, our Executive Director.
Oh, I wanna stay right here, chilling with my friends for another year. I would walk away from the spotlight for the good life. Oh, come on, turn your hate into poetry, pain into power, enemies to friends, and your minutes into hours. I would walk away from the spotlight for the good life, for the good life.
I'm Scott Bazilko. I'm the Executive Director of Winston Prep. Before COVID, Winston Prep has always been a lively, energetic, creative place. We're very much in the business of problem solving, but problem solving with creative energy, an optimism, and an attempt to infuse our community with hope that these students can learn, that they can achieve great things. And that very much led to an energetic, creative place that also had a sense of family. So Winston's always been a sort of a safe harbor, we call it, a place where you come to replenish, to energize, to learn, so that you can then go off on your journey and achieve great things. And that's always been what defines Winston Prep. We value modeling and teaching resilience. Resilience is one of the qualities of a sustainable and independent learner that we value as much, if not more, than academic skills. We believe that if we can help our students become resilient, to persevere and bounce back through difficulty, that's the centerpiece of becoming a lifelong learner. And when they leave us, we're really striving for independence. And we know that the first and most important thing students need to be independent over their lifespan is that quality of resilience, and it's central to everything that we do. Our focus on teaching and modeling resilience, I believe, is one of the things that allowed our community, teachers, students, families, and leaders to respond to these very difficult circumstances. It is a common feature, I believe, of Winston Prep faculty and staff, that they have this resilience, they have creativity, they're used to persevering through problem-solving scenarios, and that's what this was. So it allowed each individual and the community as a whole to pivot into a new way of being, a new way of operating, but maintaining that Winston spirit and Winston excellence. Our goal going into this year was to make sure that we maintained everything that defines Winston Prep. The opportunity, the excellence, the spirit, the sense of community and family. We didn't see it as an option to be anything less than all of what our families, our students expect us to be. I think we achieved that. We prioritized safety, but we also were keenly focused on making sure that we delivered Winston Prep, and I believe that we did that. There's so much we could tell you about what it took behind the scenes. Teachers, campus leaders, the Innovation Lab, how much everybody took extraordinary steps to make sure Winston Prep was Winston Prep in these unusual times. But like everything at Winston Prep, this is ultimately about the students. So it's most important that you hear from them about their experience, their journey in this extraordinary but ultimately wonderful and successful year for them. So let's hear from the students.
This is my Winston Prep, New Jersey.
This is my Winston Prep, located in Manhattan, New York City.
This is my Winston. We are the campus in Dix Hills, Long Island.
Welcome to Winston Prep. We live in California and this is our campus.
I'm in the 6th grade. Welcome to Norwalk, Connecticut, home of the Winston Preparatory School.
My name is Kai and I'm a senior at Winston Transitions in New York City.
Over there is the playground. This is the playground, and then we have the basketball courts on the other side. Over there is our garden.
I've been a student at Winston Prep's Long Island campus since day one. Like, I was one of the inaugural students. I remember walking in the first day, the first time this campus opened, and being terrified. And then by the end of that introduction, I was just finally at a place where I was like, I'm able to learn now.
Winston Prep is a really good school, and it's a privilege to be here. It's not like it's not just to any ordinary school, just like move to school to school to school. It's basically a home for all.
What I love about Winston is that you get to be, school meetings on every Friday with the other teachers and the other students.
What makes Winston Prep special to me is that we're actually a community. When I walk into Winston, it actually feels like I'm a part of the family. I'm confident to walk up to any teacher and ask them for help. I'll feel confident to email a teacher for help. Even my classmates, it's very easy to talk to them if they need help or if I need help, we'll help each other out.
I'd say what I like the most about Winston is how the teachers are there to build relationships with you and become your friend, and then you can trust them and ask questions that you need to, and you can feel where you don't have to worry about asking anything. I think it's helped me not only build a relationship with teachers, but it's helped me build relationships with my peers.
When me growing up, I was aware that I had ADHD, but I wasn't too sure of what it meant and how it affects me and whatnot. So when my parents looked at Winston, they were like, this is a much better fit for you. And we looked at it, we talked about it. I visited here and I was like, this is a good school. I want to go here. So when I first came here, I was really excited, and I made friends, met all the teachers, and it's been a really good experience for me.
They provide you with focus teachers who help focus on what exactly you need help with. They work with you when you're, it's like you're behind on work, or when you need help with certain issues like time management or organizing. Then they help you find a goal, what you want to do in the future.
So our quarantine started on, I think, March 11th or 12th, and basically went until the end of the year in June. So we were in quarantine and online for about 3 months. And then the starting of this year, we now that we're allowed to come back, I didn't think I'd see myself being happy about going back to school. And that's the other thing, is all of my friends were saying dude, when are we going back to school? And all their parents kept saying the same thing. I never thought I'd hear my kid say that he wants to go back to school. But once we got the word that, school was actually opening up, I was like, I'm there already.
They were able to probably do it so quickly was because they looked at the worst case scenario immediately. Most schools, from what I gathered, had hope. They were just like, oh, this can't happen. There's no possible way. They were just kind of so satisfied with the status quo that nothing could ever change. So they didn't even plan for anything. Winston Prep is never satisfied with the status quo, and that's also one of their biggest strengths. It's the resilience of not only the students, but the teachers and the school nurses and the janitors. It's a place of resilience. They started teaching the students how to use the things like Zoom, Google Meet. How do you use those things? And then they also taught the teachers how. So the teachers weren't in a position of I have never used this program before, what do I do? It was okay, I may not be the best at this, but I know what I'm doing. So the Zoom experience obviously could never truly be the exact same as an in-person, in-class experience, but it was the closest you possibly could have gotten. So whenever I would ask for help in person, I would get it. Whenever I asked for help online, I'd still get it. So you still had that communication, because most schools don't take into account what the student is feeling, what their personal needs are, and what they say.
I thought that going remote would knock me off my path of continuing to grow, but actually I still was able to maintain my effort in my work, and I was able to continue on that path. And then going back this year, Winston was able to have a hybrid, so we were able to go in school from the beginning of the year, which was very helpful for me because I was actually able to learn in class instead of in front of a monitor all day. So I thought that was very helpful.
One big lesson that I've learned through my journey is to keep pushing forward. I know that sounds very basic, but to me, that's my top priority.
students find success after a year such as the one that we just had is so inspiring. And as a parent of a student who went to Winston Prep, seeing how my son was able to rely on the skills and the tools that he learned when he was here during this very challenging year, that's what makes me so proud to be associated with this organization. Winston Prep students are resilient. They're self-reflective. They're problem solvers. And the work of the Winston Innovation Lab prepares our academic leadership and our faculty to help our students respond to challenging moments like we had last year. And boy, was last year ever a challenging moment. So now we're going to hear the students of Winston Prep, New York, perform the song, I See the Light, from the Disney movie Tangled. Now, when you see the thermometer appear at the bottom of your screen while they're performing, please consider making a donation to support the Winston Innovation Lab. All of the money raised will support their vital work. Now remember, there are two ways to make a donation tonight. You can either click below the video on your computer to make a donation that way, or you can open the HandBid app on your phone and make a donation in that manner. Either way you do it, we so appreciate it. Now enjoy the performance.
All those days watching from the windows, all those years outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now I'm here, living in the starlight. Now I'm here, suddenly I see, standing here, it's all so clear, I'm where I'm meant to be, and at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted, and at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world has somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I see you. All those days chasing down a daydream, all those years living in a blur, all that time never truly seeing things the way they were.
This is my Winston, New Jersey.
I'm often asked what makes a Winston teacher. And this year, more than ever before, the qualities of great Winston teachers were on full display. Winston educators are creative, resilient, analytical problem solvers. And those qualities is what allowed us to be Winston Prep in this unusual year, as much, if not more than anything. Our teachers quickly and easily adapted to these circumstances. We know it wasn't easy, but they made it look easy. And it was their ability to transition into a different time and maintaining the different way of working at Winston Prep that ultimately is what delivered education to Winston Prep students this year.
March 16th. So my initial thoughts on March 16th were mixed. You know, obviously there was the concern over the whole COVID thing. And then there was a mixed response, professionally speaking, for me, because on the one hand, I'm a teacher. So I was thinking to myself, well, what's that going to be like? You know, I'm going to have to be at home and somehow engage with these students. And then there was the concern I had as the director of technology, in the sense that what is involved in making this happen? How do we make it as successful a process as possible and as easy as possible for people? Because, as I'm sure you know, most people are aware, not everyone is necessarily that tech savvy, or they're a little bit. So the idea is to make it as friendly a process as possible and as simple as possible.
Suddenly I needed to balance fear and worry about every single part of my life, my health, the health of people I love around me. How do I teach distantly? What does that even mean? It was so many unknowns.
That was my first concern, was is Winston still going to be able to open? So that was the big thing for me, was were we going to be able to do this? And then after that, once I knew it was happening, I could like breathe and relax. And it was probably around June or July, that I was like, oh, I think this is actually gonna work.
What I hear from our parents who have a child with us and a child in another school really is that the frustration sometimes that they have with other programs, and the gratitude that they have that we're open full-time 5 days a week, the gratitude that they have with how thoughtful we've been in the reopening process and in doing everything we can, sparing no expense, bending over backwards to make sure that we are keeping the community as safe as possible, and also keeping our kids learning and keeping our kids in person as much as we can, and providing options and recognizing that every family is in a different situation. Every family is responding differently, feels differently, and providing, you know, the distance learning, the virtual learning option for families who prefer that. You know, just being responsive and you know, data driven, looking at the science, following the CDC, keeping up to date with, you know, what we always do, being scientific about it, but also being compassionate and being understanding that that these are children, these are families, we're all going through this, and we need to come together as a community. So I think we've done a really nice job of balancing that, of balancing those two worlds.
The sense of community that we have here is unlike anywhere else. There was a trust in the system, so to speak. There was trust in your fellow faculty member. You knew that we were going to accomplish our goals professionally to support these students, more so than ever, might I add, because of a pandemic.
I've been very grateful that we've been able to be in person this year during a pandemic. We were able to behave almost like a normal school, even though we were teaching in a pandemic. And I think that has been nearly magical for us.
We're doing things we never thought we could do before. But that's been one of the most incredible things about this year, is I think we'll never forget not only how strong we are individually, but how beautiful we are as an entire community and how lucky we are to be part of it.
One of the most surprising conversations that I had with a student, and this was just a few weeks ago, was a student who's been a Winston student for a long time. He's a junior in high school this year, told me that when you set aside kind of wearing masks and social distancing and, you know, the things that are kind of were beyond control, he described this school year that you know, we're wrapping up as a pretty normal school year. And it was surprising to hear a student describe this year as normal, but also really gratifying, because it's obviously been anything but normal. And yet in the eyes of this learner, we created a pretty normal educational experience in a time that it was difficult to mimic that. And so for me, it's both surprising and a source of pride that one of our students would feel that way about the year that's concluding.
Winston Prep teachers assess, understand, and adapt every day. That's what they do. And that's how they've approached this last year. Assessment and understanding are the cornerstones of the Winston Innovation Lab. A song that I'm sure we all feel embodies this past year is Waiting on the World to Change by John Mayer. And it's performed tonight by some Winston Prep students. So again, while enjoying this performance, I'm going to ask you to please consider making a donation to support the Innovation Lab so that our teachers can continue to deeply understand their students, your children. Remember, there are two ways that you can make a donation. The first is to open that hand bid app on your phone, and you can make your donation that way. Or you can click below the video on your computer screen and you can make a donation in that manner. Thank you in advance for your continued support.
Misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing. There's no way we ever could.
Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it.
We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change.
Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war,
they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on their door.
and when you trust your television, what you get is what you got.
So they own the information, oh, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change.
We can all remember how we felt in early March of last year. There was so much uncertainty, so much worry. Winston remained unwavering and innovative because Winston was ready. Leaders came together to prepare and plan and innovate and train teachers and students for the remote learning. And when everything shut down, Winston was live. They were online, full-time, for our students in just a matter of days. Here now are two parents who want to share their stories of what their experiences were like last year. Let's hear from them.
My daughter started at Winston in 6th grade. She's currently in 9th grade, so she's been at Winston for 4 years.
My daughter's always been really happy and very positive. So she would try really hard at the public schools, and she has a twin brother who does really well academically, and she would put in the same amount of effort and wasn't getting the same result. Things didn't click, she didn't understand things, and she didn't know how to learn and self-advocate on her own. And so one of the things I loved about the transition to Winston is they really taught her how to think and how to process information and how to advocate for the way that she needed to learn. So whether that was slowing down or trying a different math technique or even spacing things differently on the paper, she has learned not only content, but she's learned how to learn at the school.
So based on my experience with finding the right school for my daughter and her learning difficulties, Winston was the right choice because they were clear on they look at each student individually and not as a whole body. And that for me was really what Logan was needing and lacking in her day-to-day learning in the New York City public school system. So the fact that she was able to come in here and have a day-to-day curriculum structured that worked specifically and around her and her ADHD and her executive functioning and her auditory processing was key in making me comfortable, but more importantly, knowing that I was putting her in great hands and that she would be able to build the confidence and learn collectively by being a student at Winston Prep, New York. So on March 16th, 2020, when we began to see that the world was shutting down, specifically New York City, you know, it's interesting because of course the fear of the unknown, right? How bad is this going to be? How long is this lockdown going to take place? But more importantly, thinking about others, right? I constantly reminded Logan that even with being a remote learner, we have Wi-Fi, we have multiple devices, you're in a safe environment. You know, yes, you miss going in to be with your friends. The socialization is so important for all of our students here at Winston, but particularly for mine, making sure that socialization continues.
I think Winston handled the COVID transition better than almost anyone we interacted with. So I have a child in the public school, I work, my husband works, everybody's figuring out how to exist and live on Zoom, and it's incredibly stressful. What Winston did that was so effective is they found ways to really engage the kids and keep them thinking and keep them stimulated. I would see my daughter in the kitchen doing science experiments with her computer in front of her. You know, there was two-way interaction where all the students were talking to each other. They would use breakout rooms. Again, I compare this to public schools where there was no cameras on, no interaction, no chatting, and just assignments being sent. I compare it to my work experience, staring at a screen all day and not whiteboarding with people. Winston took the technology that was available and used it to basically put forward a great educational experience. The school had always been so tech friendly that I think that probably made it easier. And quite frankly, the teachers care so much, and we were all going through this together, that I think that empathy and that inventiveness and that ingenuity made them figure out how to make things work even online. So again, I gave you an example of science experiments in the kitchen. If we can't have a lab, we all have a kitchen, let's figure out how to get it done. I think that's just bred into the teachers and how they think.
I was very impressed with Winston's response to the pandemic, but I also wasn't surprised because everything Winston does is always top notch. And you know, we have an amazing leadership team at Winston, and more importantly, we have an amazing faculty and staff and teachers. So it wasn't a surprise to me that they were able to push through. I was the most surprised how quickly they were able to do it, and that's amazing. Again, you know, I'm someone who really, you know, holds Winston in such a high regard. What they've been able to do in this past year is just outstanding.
The message that I would give to the students is, I am incredibly proud of you. Your work and effort and resiliency in the last year is extraordinary. And I want you to know that this past year really has been an extraordinary time, a time that none of us will ever forget. And for you to live through this experience during these precious years of your life will allow you to be a stronger adult. So, just take great pride in yourselves and great confidence that you've overcome so much this year, and it has not gone unnoticed by every single one of your teachers. My message to the parents of our Winston Prep students is that we thank you for trusting in us, for continuing to give your confidence in us to deliver the education to your children. Needless to say, the challenges that we face day in and day out at Winston Prep are significant. And you instill great faith in us to try to educate your children every single year. And to do it in this kind of an experience, in a hybrid setting, online with interruptions, that faith is something that we all greatly appreciate. And it's an important reminder to all of us as the teachers of your children that you've put great trust in us, and we need to deliver on that promise to you.
Thank you all so much for joining us in this celebration of the ways in which Winston Prep met the challenges of this extraordinary year. Ultimately, it's a celebration of all of you. Every member of the Winston Prep community demonstrated the themes of this celebration. It's why we can celebrate resilience, problem solving, and self-reflection tonight, is because all of you demonstrated the power of those three capacities. And it's what allowed the Winston Prep model to persevere and allowed it to be sustainable in this extraordinary time. I hope that all of us can hold on to, as life gets back to normal, all the things we learned this year, most notably how those capacities, problem solving, self-reflection, and most notably resilience, can help us succeed in the most difficult and most unusual times. If there's one message we want to send to our students as they go into their future beyond Winston Prep, it's that power of resilience. We talk about that at Winston Prep every year, but this year, wow, did we learn it? Did we see it from our teachers, from our parents, from our students? So let's hold on to that. When life gets back to normal, remember that what makes us Winston Prep is our resilience. And that allows us to do everything else we're trying to do, no matter the difficulties we encounter. And taking those difficult circumstances and turning them into success and a celebration, that's what it's all about. That's what we're here to do. And never have we seen it like we did this year, and it's because of all of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I wanna stay right here, chilling with my friends for another